interesting today. It's going to be one of the most interesting, important sessions this evening. We will talk about your diet. The most important issue of our diet is not taking in glucose. So we will talk about the alternative to glucose. We will talk about inflammation. We will talk about inflammation, and the most important thing in inflammation like arthritis, for example, like pericarditis, any disease, any serious disease always starts with inflammation. But inflammation in itself, it's a natural process, it's a normal process that the body makes when it gets abused, when it gets subject to, exposed to microbes, we go with inflammation. Inflammation is the first thing to happen. But inflammation then is the body means to get rid of infection, to get rid of trauma, to get rid of any bad thing or any bad intrusion to the body, whether that is the skin or something you take in or something in the blood. Inflammation is a natural process, but it should last about 2 to 3 days and then it subsides. But what if that inflammation, let me define inflammation of 2-3 words. Inflammation means swelling. Things will start to swell, meaning out of proportion. Like, let's say, when we say swelling ovaries, mean the ovaries has become bigger than normal. When we say, like, let's say we have a skin cut or a skin wound, and then things around the skin start to swell. We see things start to swell. That is inflammation. This is one of the features of inflammation. What else? The skin can then also get red. Red because we have cytokines. We have intermediary inflammatory mediators that cause the redness. So we have redness. But what you see in the skin, if we have this inflammation, let's say in the joints, you do not see it, but this is what's happening. We have cytokines, we have TNF, we have different cytokines and different interleukins and different inflammatory intermediators that are involved in this inflammatory process. We also get pain. So those are the 3 most common features of any inflammation. The change of color, the skin becomes reddish because of all those fighting cells, all those of inflammatory intermediators like cytokines, like TNF, alpha and gamma. All those intermediary substances get involved in the inflammation. So inflammation is okay. It's a normal way to defend our body, but it should not last for more than 2-3 days. And then things go back to normal because the body wins and the infection that is causing the inflammation has gone away. Or any trauma or anything that has caused the inflammation has gone away. So it's normal. It's a normal process that the body uses as defense. So inflammation is good as long as it does not take more than it's supposed to take. 48, 72 hours, and then it goes away. What if it persists more than that? What if it goes more than the 2-3 days it's supposed to stay? Now we have chronic inflammation, like the case of arthritis, for example, right? The case of arthritis, that's joint pain. So that has been there for a long time, like rheumatoid arthritis. It's been there for a very long time. Some people say, okay, we're going to measure the rheumatoid factor to determine whether this patient has rheumatoid arthritis or not. Believe it or not, the recent studies have shown whether it's rheumatoid factor positive or negative, the patient meet the features for the diagnostic criteria for arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis. It is rheumatoid arthritis. So this is what we're talking about here. We're talking about now persisting of those intermediary inflammatory substances like interleukins and TNF and all those inflammatory substances in the blood that will cause the arthritis to continue. Now, and taking medication, every medication you put in your mouth has its own side effect. There is no medication that is 100% safe. Even aspirin that they tell you is very safe, it is not very safe because sometimes it can cause ulceration at the level of the intestine, okay, and cause malabsorption because it damages the intestine. So there is no one medication out there that is 100% safe. Yeah, we have a low profile side effect, we have a high profile side effect, and it depends now. The doctor will see this is the risk and this is the benefits. We have the risk of not taking the drug, the disease will progress to A, B, C, and if we take the drugs, we can eliminate A, B, and we remain with C. But so we can weight the benefits of taking the drugs versus the side effects of the drugs, and we see which one wins, and then we go with taking the drugs or not taking the drugs because of the side effect. But anyhow, you know, there is no such a thing as drug free of side effects. Okay, everything has its own side effect when we talk about medication, Okay, that is good. Now, what can you do safely at home that you can eliminate or contribute major effort to eliminate this inflammation? Inflammation, anything that ends with itis, when the doctor tells you have arthritis, you have pericarditis, you have tendonitis, you have any of those things, anything that ends with itis, that's just a simple way to say you have inflammation in that location. You have inflammation in that location. Whether it's in the kidney, whether it's in the brain, meningitis, that is all sort of inflammation. And all inflammation have the same mechanism. We have intermediary interleukins, cytokines, TNF, all those inflammatory intermediary that involve in inflammation. And we said the issue is continuing to have the inflammatory process that now becomes a disease. So what can you do? There is a very nice advice for you today and very nice way to help get rid of that inflammation. I know you heard it before. Maybe some of you heard it before. There is something called keto diet. Keto diet. Keto diet is something that I advise myself and everybody out there that really care for their health status to do. So inflammatory, that will definitely take care of the inflammation. Okay? It will make you a new system. It will make you a new you. It will make you a healthy you. So keto diet will eliminate any GI problem, will even help you to get rid of your diabetes mellitus. I'm not saying that you stop taking the medication. I didn't say that. I say it will help you improve the diabetes even till the point that you do not need medication anymore. And we're going to explain why keto diet can contribute to helping you if you're diabetic from getting rid of all the medication and your sugar will be adjusted. Simply because when we talk about keto diets, we are relying on something called ketones. Ketones, it looks like fat, but it's not really fat. Ketones as a source of power and energy to the cells. And I want you to know, we know from before, years and years ago, different studies, that's a long time ago, we say glucose is the source of energy to the body, which is true. It remains. Glucose is the source of energy to the body. But there is a better source of energy, safer source of energy that does not cause me problems, and that is what is called ketones. So ketones is really a powerful source of energy that the brain loves and the heart loves. So if you give the heart and the brain a choice, would you like glucose or would you like ketones? They will definitely say ketones. Glucose, yes, it's a source of energy, but it is not as powerful as ketones. Ketones has the power to repair. If you have a damaged tissue, those damaged tissue would love to take ketones to repair itself rather than glucose. Glucose does not go to the damaged areas. Glucose go only to the good cells. If you have, let's say, an area of a heart attack, which is dead tissue in the heart, the glucose doesn't go there. What goes there is that ketones. So how are we going to get ketones? Since ketones is so wonderful like this, and ketones make, help you with the GI, help you with diabetes mellitus, even if you have a previous MI or a stroke, it can help you better the situation. How can we get ketones? Well, ketones comes when you stop eating carbohydrates. Meaning what? Anything that is made of sugar, refined sugar, absolutely not. Any flour that like bread, macaroni, rice, any starch, absolutely not. There is what we call complex carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates like potatoes, like yams, like plantain. Those we call complex carbohydrates. We can have, but in a very small amounts. Better to eliminate. So then what I'm going to eat, Doc? You eliminated everything. What I'm going to eat? Well, if you take a dish like that, I want you to divide it into two halves. One half will have protein, and the other half will have vegetables. Okay? That's a very good meal. And you can go online and search for keto diet, and you see a lot of beautiful dishes. A lot of beautiful dishes that doesn't necessarily have to have any carbohydrates. So I stressed this in the previous session before, but now I want you to see the benefits. I want you to see the benefits. How is keto diet very important for us? I want to remind you of something. Once you eat carbohydrates, what happens? The glucose goes up in the blood, correct? Yes, correct. Then if the glucose goes up in the blood, what responds to the increased glucose? The insulin. The insulin also goes up in the blood, correct? Absolutely correct. So anytime I eat bread, anytime I eat any carbohydrates, my sugar goes up. And as a result of that, the insulin goes up. And if the insulin goes up, and that is the major issue here, insulin makes you fat. Insulin takes that sugar and deposits it into your body as fat, especially around the waist and the abdomen and the stomach. So you feel like your stomach is big. There's all a lot of fat inside. And in those patients with diabetes, if we look at their liver with ultrasound, we find that the liver is fatty liver, is shining on ultrasound, meaning there is fat around the liver. Now I'm going to tell you the newest research studies that have made a very strong association between a fatty liver and a diabetic patient. And they have proven beyond a reasonable doubt that if we succeed to get rid of the fatty liver, the diabetes goes away. That is wonderful news. So we didn't know that before. We did not know years ago, we did not know that there is a strong association between your fatty liver and the diabetes. And if we get rid of the fatty liver, we get rid of the diabetes, among other problems. So we have now established that there is very strong association between the fatty liver and diabetes. Get rid of the fatty liver, we get rid of the diabetes. Now the big question would be, Doc, how can I get rid of the fatty liver? And the answer is one word, keto. That is the answer. Keto diet. We add to the keto diet intermittent fasting. Amazing, right? Amazing, correct. Keto diet is very simple. We're not going to complicate things. We're not going to tell you what to eat. We're going to tell you what not to eat, which is carbs. Avoid carbs at all costs. And now use your imagination, make any plate you like. When you bring the plate like this, divide it into two halves. One half is all vegetables. And we have a lot of beautiful vegetables here, and it's all organic. And the other half is meat. And also meat in this country is not subject to growth hormones and all those injections that they use in the West and Europe. So to make the cow so big, no, we have all organic. They don't have these ideas yet. And I'm very glad they don't have these ideas yet, because the meat you eat is an organic meat. They have not pumped the cow with growth hormones and all these carcinogenic things that cause cancer. And the cow feeds on mostly hormones and mostly chemical and mostly genetically modified food to make the cow so big. So when you see a cow so big like that, this is something to avoid. When you see the cow is natural, normal, feeding on natural and normal stuff without those injections, without those growth hormones, without those carcinogenic injections that they feed the cow with, that's a good cow to eat the meat of. When you see the chicken nice and normal size, that's a good chicken. When you see it like this, that's not a good chicken. She's being fed genetically modified food. She's being fed no good food that can cause you harm, because when you eat their meat. So it is just common sense. What grows naturally, we call it organic, without the interference of those money-oriented companies that inject toxic and poisonous material into their farm animals to make them big, to gain some more money. The same thing for fruits and plants. You avoid what looks so big because that has been genetically modified, that has been tampered with. And when we tamper with genetics to make the things bigger, we suffer the cost, which is we get a lot of cancer later on. We get a lot of diseases later on. So eat natural. Don't get excited and don't get fascinated by those big things because they all genetically modified and they all use growth hormones and things that make big volume, but there is definitely health risk there. So back to the keto diet. The keto diet, half of the plate is protein and half of the other plate is vegetables. You do not need any carbohydrates. Now, the second most important issue is something called intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting will start gradual. You stop eating by 6 o'clock. You can drink water, you can drink fluids, and we said I'm against anything that is canned. I'm against it, except Bavaria, maybe I use it to detox the kidney. Anything that is canned, I'm against it. Any fruit that is kept in a can, I'm against it. Anything that is energy drinks or sports drinks, all of this are all toxins and poisons into the body. I'm against it totally for a reason, because this is just extra poison and extra health issues that you are taking, extra health problems that you're inviting into your body that you really don't need to. So just natural water, if you want to make your own juice, you make your own juice, even though the best way to eat a fruit is when you eat the fruit as a whole. Now, talking about the fruits, and there is a very close relationship between eating too much fruits and fatty liver. The whole issue we focus on today is the fatty liver and its strong association with diabetes mellitus and other diseases. To avoid fatty liver, we avoid carbohydrates. We go, instead of carbohydrates, we switch to keto diet. If you want more information about the keto diet, you go online and search for keto diet. They have a lot of beautiful plates that you can make and you can use. Second, most important factor is intermittent fasting. You stop eating at 6 o'clock. The next time you eat will be 8 o'clock in the morning, let's say. So you have like maybe about 10 hours there, about 8-10 hours. Those 8-10 hours, you eat your 3 meals, your 2 meals in those 8 hours. Once in the beginning of the 8 hours, one at the end of the 8 hours. Now I want you with time to reduce that eating time. That means increase the fasting time. Fasting, I mean no food, but you can drink. So let's say now I want to reach 18 hours of no food going into my mouth. 18 hours, no food going into my mouth. I can drink, but I cannot take food. Now the remaining 6 hours here, I want you to eat all your meals in those 6 hours, which if you eat 3 meals in a day, I want you to eat the 3 meals in those 6 hours. I want you to eat those 3 meals, one in the beginning of the 6 hours, one at the end of the 6 hours. What is the benefit of that, the intermittent fasting? One word, autophagy. Autophagy meaning, the bad cells, the cells that are damaged in the body, this autophagy happening, meaning self-destruction. They become self-destructed. They die off. They self-destruct, and in the process of self-destruction, they are now converted into the simplest form. So we have a lot of amino acids from those bad cells that happen to be self-destruct, and a lot of fatty acids. Fatty acids, amino acids. We're going to use those simplest form, fatty acids and amino acids, to do what? To repair whatever tissue we need to repair. So this is what we call recycling. So when I do the intermittent fasting and I reach up to 16 to 18 hours, I already reach my goal of repairing my own cells. And in the process of doing that, I will not feel hungry. Once I reach the 18 hours of fasting, I will not feel hungry anymore. What makes you hungry is actually the carbohydrates. When you take carbohydrates, you feel hungry. When you don't take carbohydrates anymore, the hunger is gone. You don't feel hungry anymore. Now, what is the benefits? I will feel more energy. Why? Because now I have eliminated the glucose, and now I am using ketones. Now, you're going to tell me, so what? That means the brain feeds in glucose. That means I shut down completely my glucose intake. I don't have any more glucose in your body. No. If you go to the keto diet and you come to me after 2 months or so and I take your sugar level, it will be like 80 to 90 fasting, normal. So how come? Where did I get this sugar from? We have proven already. We take your blood sugar in the morning and it becomes 80 to 100. So if I'm not taking any carbohydrates, the big question would be, how did I get this glucose in my blood? Well, it's very simple, because we have a process that the body makes called gluconeogenesis, meaning making of glucose within the body. So your body itself has the capacity to make glucose within the body. That is why when you come in the morning, even though you never taken any glucose or any carbohydrates for the last 2-3 months, I test you in the morning fasting blood sugar and I found your sugar 80 to 90. Where is the glucose come from? The glucose came from this process called gluconeogenesis, meaning your own body is making glucose as it needed. What is the source of glucose in this case? Is protein and fat. So now the body turns into the fat and burn it and use it to make glucose, which is good. Now, I think we'll take 1 minute break and we'll continue after the break.
When it comes to toxic elimination from the human body, the liver and kidney plays a vital role. Your health is your wealth and therefore needs to be kept in constant check. DR Soliman Clinic and Labs offers you the opportunity to find out about your liver and kidney today. With us, you will have a free liver scan and hepatitis B test by Nsah just at 5,000 francs CFA. Find out the state of your kidney. With us, we offer free kidney scan, and if your creatinine is above 1.5, we have the solution. In addition to that, we also offer free medical consultation and free body scan. We are located in 2 cities. In Boya, we are located at mile 18 Bomaka. In Vola, you can find us at Bonaberry, precisely at Entrée Pilote. You can also reach us through the telephone number 694-940172. Your health is at the right place with DR Soliman.
Okay, in 1 minute, what do I say? In 1 minute. Decrease the carbohydrates. You will increase the ketones, and once the ketones are increased, then the insulin will go down, and the insulin is the one responsible of making you fat, especially around the waist. And the insulin resistance will also go down. So I don't want to be speaking in Chinese and you don't understand what I'm saying. Every time you shut down the carbohydrates, no carbs in your diet, which in one word, keto diet, the ketones will go up, and that is the favorite energy source for the brain and for the ketones. Your memory is the best, your heart is the best. If you have heart problem, they will all disappear. If you have arthritis, that will also help the arthritis to get better. Because glucose and sugar promote arthritis, promote all inflammation. Any inflammatory condition in your body is promoted by those carbohydrates. Treatment, keto diet, intermittent fasting. So when I go to keto diet, I decrease the carbohydrates. And we said insulin rise when the carbohydrates goes up, when you eat carbohydrates, and the glucose, which is the digestive end product of the carbohydrates you ate. Glucose goes up, insulin goes up. So now I prevented myself from taking carbohydrates, then glucose will go down. Then there is no need for insulin to go up, because what triggers the insulin to go up is the glucose. I shut down carbohydrates, glucose goes down, and it doesn't mean glucose in the blood goes down because of the process that is called gluconeogenesis. You still have glucose, but you're not going to have the excess rise of insulin anymore because the trigger is not there. The carbohydrates that you eat in your stomach, is once it reaches your stomach, this is what makes the insulin goes up. Not the glucose that is coming from the gluconeogenesis. The glucose that coming from the gluconeogenesis once more is a process that your body uses protein and fat to make its own glucose as needed for the brain and for the heart, which is beautiful. But the carbohydrates you eat from your mouth and gets in your stomach, this is the one that make the insulin rise. And once the insulin rise and it keep rising in the blood for a longer period of time, we will develop now a case called insulin resistance of the tissue. And by the same token, cortisol is the same way. When we have too much cortisol in the body, now the tissue become resistant to cortisol and the patient go to the round face and the Cushing syndrome. So let me focus on diabetes, and let me focus on healthy body, and let me focus on how to avoid arthritis. The key is no carbohydrates. Insulin is the one behind all problems. Once insulin goes up, you are fat. And once insulin goes up, you have developed tissue resistance. So now we're talking about the type 2 diabetes. Now, to eliminate that, and we just said a minute ago, there is a strong association between fatty liver and diabetes. And diabetes comes from increased insulin for a longer period of time that can make the tissue now become resistant to insulin. And that is the essence, the mechanism of how diabetes happens. Now, I decrease carbohydrates, I decrease insulin. As a result, the tissue resistance has decreased. You are cured from diabetes. Now, what is the relationship? When we have too much glucose and carbohydrates intake in our body, the liver becomes fatty. Once we go on keto diet, we found out that the liver fat, the fat on the liver has dissolved. And in the process, the diabetes has gotten better. So don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying if you are diabetic on medication, go stop the medication and go on keto diet. No, that would be very stupid to do. Because if I am diabetic, I have a machine that is called glucometer. And there is a source for the glucometer you get for free. Contact me at this number and I'll tell you how. You have your glucometer and you have your agenda. And you make fasting blood sugar. Okay, this is the value today. And then I ate after 2 hours. I see the random value. This is the value random. And you can measure your sugar at least once or twice a day. And you keep an agenda. Now, as you go in keto diet, you see that, oh, the sugar has been dropping. So that means I'm getting better. So I'm going to contact my doctor now to adjust my diabetic dose. So it is done upon monitoring. So you see the effect yourself and reading. You see the glucose value. You see the meter value. What does it say? Once you go on keto diet and intermittent fasting, you see that things has becoming better. Now it's time to reduce the dose. Otherwise, I can go into hypoglycemia, low blood sugar in the blood. Right? So this is very logical, and you can do it at your own self, and you monitor, you follow up with your doctor to follow up the reading and adjust the dosage accordingly, till one day you do not need it anymore. And believe it or not, you will not feel hunger anymore. Let's talk about the fruits. The fruits has fructose, and fructose causes fatty liver, because nobody recognizes fructose in your body except the liver. The liver is the only thing that deals with fructose, and fructose makes fatty liver. So that means I don't eat fruits. You can eat berries, oranges, but a limited amount of fruits. Do not go crazy and eat, a lot of fruits, and especially the very sweet ones. That means very high fructose, because fructose is more sweet than glucose. It's a lot more sweet than glucose. So all those candies, all those cakes and you see out there, and all those nice looking bakery products that you see in the market, they are rich of fructose. The syrup that they use is fructose, because fructose is a lot more sweet than glucose. So they use what give them more money, because they use less, they get the results. Where glucose used a lot and they get the same results. So I rather use fructose. Now they do not care whether you're going to get fatty liver or not. All they care about is how much money they're going to make. Correct? So now you learn. So we have now the freedom to choose. Should I go for a healthy food, or should I go for a food that will destroy? Especially if you're above 40, 50, 60 years old. You have a lot of inflammation. You have arthritis everywhere. I'm telling you a recipe that you can do yourself at home without the repeated visit to the doctor. Because let's say you have a knee problem, arthritis. Okay, what the doctor will do? You go to a rheumatologist now, and the rheumatologist has to inject the knee. Okay, we have hyaluronic acid. We have some gel one. This is a nice product that is American product that we inject the knee, and it's much money. It's like about 70, 80,000 for one injection, no? About $500 in the United States. Okay, and you have to take this every 6 months, or the least of which I'm gonna inject the knee with steroids. I'm gonna inject the knee with steroids. Well, I can avoid all that by following natural products that we will talk about. Hopefully, time allows. We're gonna talk about how to deal with all those things without the need for all those invasive. You know, myself, I do the injection. When we get patients that we have to do the injections, we have to do the injections. But what I'm telling you, how to avoid getting the injections by avoiding getting the knee sick anyway. How to avoid getting arthritis. You know, so if you're listening to me now and you haven't got arthritis yet, then you can prevent it by doing that. And even if you're in a condition of having arthritis, you can improve the scenario by following exactly what I'm telling you. Keto diet, intermittent fasting, and we explain how this can stop that, how the keto diet can stop it, and how the intermittent fasting can help you with the arthritis, and not only with any inflammation condition, with your level of energy after all. You know, the energy level of your body, the energy level will definitely improve. You will feel much stronger. You will feel much energy. You will feel a lot more powerful. You can do things much better. You can think much better. Your memory is enhanced. Everything is all good things. So why not do it? Why not do it? So be very careful what you put in your mouth. I repeat again, intermittent fasting, keto diet, to prevent and protect and decrease all the inflammation anywhere in your body. We're going to talk about a couple of more products, natural products, to help us keep healthy, stay strong, keep young, keep our mind alert at all times, all with the very simple stuff that we can do ourselves. We'll take another 1 minute break, and we'll come right back.
When it comes to toxic elimination from the human body, the liver and kidney plays a vital role. Your health is your wealth and therefore needs to be kept in constant check. DR Soliman Clinic and Labs offers you the opportunity to find out about your liver and kidney today. With us, you will have a free liver scan and hepatitis B test by Nsah just at 5,000 francs CFA. Find out the state of your kidney. With us, we offer free kidney scan, and if your creatinine is above 1.5, we have the solution. In addition to that, we also offer free medical consultation and free body scan. We are located in 2 cities. In Boya, we are located at mile 18 Bomaka. In Vola, you can find us at Bonaberry, precisely at Entrée Pilote. You can also reach us through the telephone number 694-940172. Your health is at the right place with DR Soliman.
Okay, wonderful. So we spoke about keto, intermittent fasting, and the fruits. You should eat very limited amount because it is very rich in fructose, and fructose causes fatty liver. That is strongly associated with diabetes mellitus and increased insulin, increased weight and fat around the waist, especially the visceral fat. One more thing I want to alert you: oils. There are 2 types of oils. One that I want you to take that is rich in omega-3. One that I want you to avoid at all costs, which is rich in omega-6. Omega-6 is your enemy. Omega-3 is your friend. The canola oil, soya, anything that is made out of soya, where it's soya sauce, soya juice, soya this, soya that, soya oil, soya, avoid it. Even the feed that you feed to the chicken or that is rich with soya, that is no good. Soya is rich in omega-6, and that causes inflammation. So yourself, you want to be treated of inflammation, but when you go home, you stuff yourself with omega-6 that causes inflammation. So palm oil, that's omega-6. The sunflower seed oil, that is omega-6. the canola oil, that is omega-6. So before deciding to buy your oil, you look at the name. This is made of what? You go on Google and you say omega-6 and sunflower seed, for example. Omega-6 and canola oil, for example. And then you will see, oh, canola oil is very rich with omega-6. Oh, soya sauce or soya oil is very rich with omega-6. You avoid. So omega-6, that's the enemy, you avoid. Before you choose your oil, you have to know, is this an omega-6 oil? No. Is this an omega-3 oil? Yes. What is omega-3? Any fish oil, avocado oil, coconut oil. You're going to tell me, I'm going to cook with coconut oil. Yeah, it's nice, but you try and see. Sesame oil. Very, very effective, very nice. Medicinal uses, very, very beautiful oil. And above all, olive oil. Those are the 3 oils that I can recommend strongly. Coconut, sesame, and olive. Beside that, you do your own research. Everything out there, if it's omega-6, don't touch it. Because you are hurting yourself, you are inducing inflammation. And inflammation is not only in the joints, in the heart, in the brain, in the meninges, everywhere. You can get inflammation, and that's a very bad thing because that will be a persisting inflammation. So we measure inflammation by something called ESR, erythrocyte sedimentation rate. The lab, any lab will do it. If ESR is high, then we have a problem. So those are, now we said what? 3 or 4 things. We said the keto diet, we said the intermittent fasting, we said to avoid fruits, only very limited amounts, and we said the oils, omega-6 rich oil, we cannot touch. So those are the 4 things that can help yourself not getting inflammation in your system and stay healthy and stay powerful and stay with very high energy level, and you do not need even to see a doctor. When you are going on a preventive measure, when you are aware of what you put in your mouth and know what is good for you and what is bad for you, why would you go to a doctor for? Maybe if the doctor is a friend, you go visit. But beside that, you stay healthy. There is no need. So you have heard me this session, and I want you to spread. If you have a friend, if you have anybody, this session will be uploaded in Facebook. Share it so we can spread the knowledge and spread the health awareness so everybody stays healthy without the need of having this disease and that disease. And if you think about it, all diseases, most of them come from inflammation. Most of the diseases come from persistent inflammation. And we induce the diseases ourselves with our lack of knowledge of what is good for us and what is not good for us. We're going to move on to something very important, something called vitamin K2. K2. Vitamin K2 is the one responsible for distributing, or let me put it another way, is the one responsible for taking calcium where it does not belong and put it back into where it belongs, the bones. Maybe you go to the doctor one day and he tell you, oh, you have a fibroid with calcification. Calcification, that's a bad thing. Or you have hypertension. What happened? Well, your vessels are no longer flexible. Your arteries are no longer flexible like they used to be. What happened? We have calcium deposits along those vessels. The vessels became hard. So when the vessels became hard because of those calcium deposits, they're no longer flexible, the pressure goes up. That's hypertension. They used to say cataract, for example, is because of old age. Yes, I agree, because of old age, because of calcium deposits. What about if we have a child, 4 or 5 years old, with white out? The lens of the eye is white, and you can see it from a mile away. The child has a white dot right there in his eye. That is a cataract in a child. How do you explain that? Cataract based on old age. You cannot, because 5 years old, 6 years old is not an old age. So this is calcium deposits on the lens. So what makes the calcium deposit in places where it's not supposed to be is the K2, the lack of vitamin K2. So K2, vitamin K2 is very essential to mobilize the calcium from where it does not belong and put it where it belongs, which is the bones. Kidney stones, if it's calcium kidney stones, that is also K2. That is calcium deposited in the kidney where it's not supposed to be deposited, and K2 is the one that can take it out and put it back in the bones where it belongs. We have cells in the bones that call osteoblast. Blast meaning building cells, the bone building cells, osteoblast. Osteoblast is activated by K2 to make more calcium and build the bones. While osteoclast, the one that resorb, the one that dissolve the bones, is called osteoclast. K2 inhibit this osteoclast. So I'm only building and I'm not destroying. Because once I destroy the bones, this free calcium will go deposit in unwanted places like the eye, cataract, like the kidney stones, and like the arteries causing hypertension because the arteries will become very solid, like the prostate, like the fibroid, the calcification in the fibroid. So it can go all over the body and cause me a lot of damage anywhere they get deposited. So now to get rid of them, I will use K2. To get rid of them, bring them back to the bones where they belong. Now the next question would be, Doc, where can I get K2 from? It seems like a very nice man, a very nice guy that helped me out. Well, K2 is available for you, and listen to this, in the meat, but not the red meat. Before, years ago, they fooled us and they gave us misleading information that if you eat fat, you're going to increase your cholesterol. That was the information. Even some doctors till now, they strongly believe that if you have cholesterol, don't eat fat. Nothing. That is not correct. You cannot eat plant fat, hydrogenated oil. That's absolutely not. But I want you to eat animal source fat like butter. Beautiful, healthy. I want you to eat the meat when it's mixed with fat, not red meat and you tell the butcher, remove the fat. That is not today. In today's research and studies, it is not the case anymore because K2 comes in the fat that is mixed with the meat. Not meat alone, red meat alone. Nah, you're harming yourself, okay? You need the meat that is mixed with fat. You need to take butter on a daily basis, butter, animal source fat. The ideas and the misleading information years and years ago that tells you do not eat fat because your cholesterol goes high, it's a misleading information. Now it has been corrected by recent studies that says that actually eat meat that is mixed with fat, you get a lot of K2, and K2 will make you healthy, will make you not have hypertension, will make you have not cataract. All the stuff will be okay because K2 is responsible of taking the calcium from unwanted places and put it back in the bones where it belongs. So that is K2. And K2 come fat mixed with meat. That is K2. Now, I'm gonna now stress another point, very important point. Those patients who are taking omeprazole for gastritis, and believe it or not, in Cameroon we have a lot of gastritis cases. Some of it complicated with H. pylori, some of it gastritis without H. pylori. H. pylori is a bacteria that worsens the gastritis. You cannot get K2 if you are taking omeprazole or chronic patient on omeprazole. Why? Those medication, the antacid medication, a lot of, you know what I'm talking about. Those medication, I have gastric, you go to the pharmacy, they load you up with the antacid, which is medication to neutralize the acid, or another medication to shut down the acid, or another medication to do this to the acid. At the end of the day, the pH, the acidity inside the stomach, it is not 1.5 anymore. We need very strong acid to make use of K2. When you eat the meat with fat, again, meat with fat, not red meat alone, meat with fat, butter, we have a rich source of K2. And K2 works with vitamin D. They work together. They're like brothers. Vitamin D we spoke about before. We can speak about again. But vitamin D comes in close association with K2. They work together, the brother and sister. So K2 can only work if you have a good acid in the stomach. Meaning what? If you are taking omeprazole, you are a gastric patient, you're taking omeprazole, believe me, you will have a lot more problems than gastric because now your calcium is deposited everywhere. You're going to end up with hypertension, you're going to end up with cataract, you're going to end up with kidney stones, you're going to end up with all the complication of this maldistribution of calcium all over your body. It's harmful. And calcium is like solid, is like iron. Your organs now becomes very, your arteries becomes very hard. It is not good. So in order to make a use of vitamin K2, I must have a very strong acid in my stomach. That means I must not take omeprazole. So you're going to tell me, so doc, I'm going to die with gastritis here. If you tell me don't take omeprazole because, no, there is a solution. There is a solution where I can treat the gastritis without compromising the acid production inside the stomach. It's a very challenging situation, but there is a solution, and we follow it with our patients, and they are fine. Without shutting down the acid, we can treat the gastritis, and we can make you use the K2, that is, and Cameroon is very rich with animal sources now. And it's all organic, right? It's all organic. So you eat the meat next time mixed with fat. You take butter that you avoid when you see it in the supermarket. You can make your own butter. Those farmers out there that have cows and they know how to make nice. When I was in the north, they were making very nice butter, natural. Okay, so you can, yes, so this is the source. But in order to make use of K2, you must have a strong acid, and if to have a strong acid, you cannot be on omeprazole and take and say, okay, I'm gonna make use of K2. You cannot. It will not work, because K2 to be absorbed and extracted from this meat, you need a strong acid. Okay, to dissolve it and break it down into the simplest form and extract that K2 that will go and help you take this calcium from where it was deposited, whether in arteries, in eyes, in kidneys, or anywhere in the tissue, and move it out of there and bring it back to where it belongs, which is the bones, and by activation the osteoblasts, the cells that makes up the bones. And in the process, then you will have stronger bones. Right, you will have a stronger bones. So that was K2, very important K2. There is also supplement of K2, but why go take the supplement if you can get it naturally? Right? So now, when we talk about supplement, it is just supplement. Meaning, you cannot be treated for a disease with real medication that the doctor has prescribed for you, and you eliminate that and you say, I'm going to go for the supplement. It doesn't work like that. It is only under the supervision of your doctor that you can decide to stop or to continue medication. A good doctor. That's all. I think we are coming to the end, but I want to touch up on something very essential, and I will touch up on it the next session. Let me take just 1 minute break, and we'll talk for 5 minutes and we end.
When it comes to toxic elimination from the human body, the liver and kidney plays a vital role. Your health is your wealth and therefore needs to be kept in constant check. DR Soliman Clinic and Labs offers you the opportunity to find out about your liver and kidney today. With us, you will have a free liver scan and hepatitis B test by Nsah just at 5,000 francs CFA. Find out the state of your kidney. With us, we offer free kidney scan, and if your creatinine is above 1.5, we have the solution. In addition to that, we also offer free medical consultation and free body scan. We are located in 2 cities. In Boya, we are located at mile 18 Bomaka. In Vola, you can find us at Bonaberry, precisely at Entrée Pilote. You can also reach us through the telephone number 694-940172. Your health is at the right place with DR Soliman.
In this last few minutes, I want to recap what we have said in the last 1 hour. Inflammation and persistent inflammation is the mechanism behind every problem we have in our body today. That's a fact. What can we do to reduce and prevent inflammation? Inflammation is a natural process, natural defense process, like we have explained before, but when it persists, it becomes a disease. It becomes a problem. How can we prevent, reduce, take care of inflammation, whether any source of arthritis, inflammation here, inflammation there, in the uterus, in the ovaries, anywhere. We said keto diet. We said intermittent fasting. We said vitamin K2 that works with vitamin D. And by the way, this two combination here can reduce the blood pressure and fix everything behind the blood pressure, because it will remove the calcium responsible for the hard vessels causing the high blood pressure. Okay? We said antioxidants. There is a lot of natural antioxidants, among which is the omega-3. We discussed about omega-3 today, and we discussed about the harm of the omega-6. And we said any time you want to choose an oil to cook with, you go online and see if this oil has omega-6 or has omega-3. And we said the three best oils is the coconut oil, the sesame oil, the olive oil. We said you eat meat with fat because that is a rich source for K2. And in order to make use of K2, you must have a strong acid in the stomach. If you are challenged with taking omeprazole, or you have gastritis patient, or you are a gastritis patient, and then you have a challenging situation, then you see me. And then we will tell you how to take care of the gastritis. At the same time, follow the procedure and follow the information and the advices I'm telling you, so you can keep a high level of energy. This is how. So we said the omega-3, we said the vitamin D, K2 together, and we said that intermittent fasting, and we said about the keto diet. And that, believe me, if you follow this, you have no problem. You will stay healthy, you will stay young, you will stay free of disease, and you have a very high energy level. I thank you very much for watching. Please, when you see the session on Facebook, share it with your friends and family so everybody can benefit from the advices we have discussed today. Till next Saturday, you have a nice time and you have a blessed weekend, and God bless you all. Thank you very much for watching me. This is Dr. Soliman, My Media Prime Live, 5 p.m. on a Saturday. I see you next Saturday, 5 p.m. Till then, take care of yourself.